Many years ago, there was a boy named Boniface, but everyone later called him Chief Boney. Today, people know him as a big billionaire in Lagos. His company is so big that even the cleaners have uniforms and wristwatches. His cars are long like a small bus, and his gate alone is taller than his childhood house. But before the money, before the suits, and before the AC office, Boney was just a poor boy with big dreams. He was born in a tiny room with leaking zinc, in the back of a compound where tenants shared one toilet. His mother was a widow. She sold oranges to send Boney and his two younger sisters to school. They were so poor that sometimes Boney went to school with soaked Gary and groundnut in a bottle. If someone brought a biscuit to class, he would look away so he wouldn't cry. His uniform was always clean, but it was also always patched. After school, Boney would help his mother hawk oranges. He had a loud voice and a kind smile. That's how he sold fast. Buy fresh orange, 3 for 20 naira. Sweet like honey, oh. But no matter how much he sold, there was never enough money, and sometimes they all had to sleep on one mat because they couldn't afford another. One rainy night, as thunder roared and the roof was leaking, Boney sat up and wrote in his small old notebook, "Dear God, if you bless me, I will never forget the poor. I will help anybody who is struggling. I will build a company and employ people with love." He didn't know it, but that night, a star rose in his destiny. As a teenager, Boney left school for a while to work on a construction site. He carried blocks and mixed cement. One day, a man who owned a printing shop came to print flyers for his building business. Boney ran after him and asked if he could work with him. The man tested him with small jobs. Boney did it fast and well. He cleaned the machines. He carried paper. He even designed small flyers on a computer. The man liked his spirit and taught him more. Years later, Boney opened his own small branding shop. He called it Boney Prints. He charged small money, but his work was neat, fast, and honest. People began to recommend him. From one shop, he got 3. From 3, he got 7. From branding, he went into packaging, then logistics, then full business development. He became rich, but he didn't change his heart. When Boney bought his first house, his mother cried. She looked at him and said, "My son, you've done well." That night, Boney knelt in his big living room and said, "God, I remember my promise. I will help. I will give. I will employ those who are suffering like I once did." He created Audio Group, a big company with many departments: printing, branding, logistics, digital, training, media, even bread and water production. He didn't care about big degrees. He said, "If you have a story, if you have pain and you still stand up to try, you are qualified." That was how the story began to change, not just for Boney, but for hundreds of people. Chief Boney's office is a glass building in Lekki Phase 1. It has a fountain, 24/7 light, and a gate that opens with fingerprints. But inside that fine office, you can get a job by crying well. Yes, he employed people by compassion. One lady came to deliver bread to the canteen. She looked tired and worn out. Boney saw her, called her, and said, "Would you like to work here?" She nodded. "From today, you are our head of loaf logistics. Report tomorrow." Now everyone calls her Madam Loaf, and she's in charge of all bakery supplies across branches. One man limped into the office one day. He had a swollen leg and begged the security man for a small job. The receptionist called Boney. "Sir, one man is limping downstairs. He said he fell from Okada and his landlord chased him." Boney ran downstairs, saw the man, and hugged him. "Don't worry. You're now assistant manager of transport and road safety. We need your experience." Another woman entered crying. "Sir, I have tried everything. Nobody wants to employ me because I'm a single mother. They say I'll bring distraction." Boney wiped her tears. "You have courage. That's more than enough. You'll handle customer care. We'll train you." But as kind as Boney was, not everyone understood the mission. Some people came just to eat free lunch. One woman even told the HR manager, "I applied because I heard if you cry well, Chief Boney will even dash you a house." Another man brought fake hospital reports and said he had 13 children. Even the company accountant started complaining. Sir, we have 15 staff, but I don't know what 7 of them do. One man said he's in charge of dream management. What does that mean, sir? Chief Boney looked up and said with a straight face, "It means he reminds people of their dreams. Isn't that important?" So, as word began to spread around Lagos that Chief Boney doesn't check CVs, only tears, people started flocking to his gate like pilgrims to a miracle crusade. He had different species of humans, the good, the bad, the wicked, the thieves, the loyal, the backbiters, and what have you. The good ones were sincere. They cried, yes, but they also worked hard, came early, and thank God every day. The loyal one were not just good workers. They were loyal to the bone. If you insult Chief Boney in front of them, they would defend him like family. The wicked ones, these ones, they came with sweet mouths, crocodile tears, and dangerous hearts. The backbiters, they're the ones who greet Chief Boney like this. "Good morning, sir. May God bless you." Then 5 minutes later, behind his back, this man no get sense. Every week new pity party staff. This company will soon collapse. Any small thing he does, they castigated. The loyal and good workers were too scared to report the wicked ones because they didn't want Boney to feel disappointed. Oga is too kind. He'll start praying for them instead of sacking them, they whispered. But little by little, the office became a mixture of light and darkness. You'll enter the office and see one person praying in tongues, another one forging signatures, another downloading movies with company Wi-Fi, and a group whispering, "Let's push her out. She's too loyal." But Chief Boney was still calm, and he would say, "There's no bad person, only broken people who need understanding. Maybe love will change them." One cool Monday morning, Chief Boney walked into the office with his usual wide smile and warm handshake for everyone. He got to the reception and greeted the front desk staff, only to see the receptionist, the same one he employed after she said her boyfriend jilted her on her birthday. Scrolling TikTok with earpiece in her ear, he greeted her twice. She didn't answer. He had to tap her shoulder. "Sorry, sir. I was just listening to worship music." She lied quickly, closed her phone. Boney smiled gently and said, "Okay, make sure you worship and still work. This is not a church." He walked in. In his office, his finance manager, Mr. Olatunji, came in sweating like someone who ran a marathon. "Sir, I noticed something. One of our vendors was paid twice, and 2.8 million is missing. We're checking what happened." Boney stood up quietly. "Twice? Why?" "We don't know yet, sir." But the admin secretary was the last person to handle the paperwork. Later that week, the logistics team was supposed to deliver branded t-shirts for a major client. The t-shirts arrived 3 days late, and they were pink instead of navy blue. When the client called to complain, the staff in charge, Toby, said, "There's nothing we can do. Manage it like that. Manage what?" Chief Boney had to call the client himself and beg, "Please forgive us. We are undergoing minor human training." Out of curiosity, Boney went to the HR department and asked for the attendance logbook. Boney sat down with his glasses, ready to just glance through the records. But by the 2nd page, he paused. By the 5th page, he removed his glasses. By the 10th page, he said out loud, "Who are these people and why are they getting paid?" Because what he saw was not an attendance register. It was a comedy script. Some examples. Kingsley, who was employed as a company driver, signed in every day at exactly 8 a.m. sharp. But security CCTV showed he usually arrived at 11:45 a.m. Precious, the office assistant, signed in and out on public holidays, including Christmas Day, and claimed she came to water the office plants. One intern signed in 9 a.m. out 9:10 a.m. Under reason for leaving early, he wrote, "Mental fatigue." Boney closed the book, leaned back in his chair and said, "This is no longer a company. This is a human zoo with AC and payroll." As if that wasn't enough, Boney received a client rejection email that nearly sent him to the hospital. A foreign partner who was meant to invest in $500 million in Aladeal Group wrote, "Dear Chief Boney, after 3 months of missed emails, incomplete proposals, poor grammar from your PR team, and a WhatsApp message from one of your staff asking me for urgent 2K, We had decided to take our business elsewhere. It was at Bad Chief Boney called an emergency staff meeting the next day. Some were adjusting their wigs. Some were scrolling Instagram, while some were already whispering, "Is he finally sacking us?" Boney came in front and then said, "When I started this company, I wanted to help people rise. But now, some of you are rising with laziness, gossip, theft, and confusion." He turned slowly to Grace and said, "Grace, how do we pay a vendor twice for one job?" Grace was quiet. As Boney was speaking, his phone buzzed. He looked down and saw a debit alert. Another 1.2 million Nigerian nairas gone. Vendor, Motivational Consulting Limited. Purpose, Emotional Stability Audit for staff. He looked up and asked, "Who approved this payment?" Then a soft voice in the back said, "Sir, that's the new department I created last week. We bring in daily therapists to check on our chakras." Chief Boney removed his cap, threw it on the floor and shouted, "Chakra? In a printing company?" After the staff meeting that ended in boss bows, Chief Boney sat in his office, very quiet. He had sent home 3 staff home, suspended Grace, and told HR to pause all crying-based employment. He looked at the HR director and said, "We need someone strong, someone strict, someone that won't smile at laziness. Let's hire a no-nonsense manager to clean this place up." The next week, Mr. Maxwell Oak, a tall, clean-shaved man in navy blue suit and red tie, walked in. His handshake was firm, his CV was thick, and his voice sounded like he had swallowed a microphone. He sold himself very well, and Chief Boney nodded, impressed. He thought, finally, my helper has come. He employed him. He gave him a brand new office, and he gave him an official car. He even said, "Maxwell, I'm trusting you with my legacy." Maxwell smiled and replied, "Sir, I will guard it with my life." But what he meant was, "I will take it with your life." From the second week, Maxwell turned the company upside down. He banned laughter during work hours. He suspended 4 staff in 1 week for facial disrespect. He told the woman who was pregnant, "That feet are too swollen. That's a sign already. Take early maternity leave before you cause workplace distraction." People started tiptoeing inside the office like they were walking inside a lion's cage. Staff began referring to him in hushed tones. "Please, is the commander around?" One staff wore black for a whole week. When HR asked why, she said, "I'm mourning the death of peace in this company." Only one person remained calm. Justina, Chief Boney's loyal PA. She had been with him since he was printing flyers under staircase and using pure water to cool his laptop. From day one, Justina didn't like Maxwell. Her spirit was not at rest. The way he looked at people like animals, the way he never blinked, and the way he kept saying, "Some roots must be uprooted permanently." One day, Justina saw him in the car park, standing by his car with a small black book. She tiptoed and peeped. Written inside, white heavy checkmark frame, financial mismanagement. White heavy checkmark, replace Boney with me. White heavy checkmark of stubborn, use the tea. The tea? Let me explain. Maxwell started bringing a special flask to Boney's office every morning, containing a mysterious herbal tea he said was good for blood pressure. The first time he offered it, Boney smiled. "Maxwell, you're too kind." Justina screamed inside her mind, "Kind qua? Sir, please don't drink, oh." She started pouring the tea into flower pots when no one was looking. The flower withered within 2 days. On a fateful morning, Boney came into the office feeling dizzy. He told Justina, "I don't understand. I slept early, but I woke up feeling like my head is floating." Justina's heart stopped. She rushed to the dustbin and checked Monday's TCUP. AT the bottom? White powder residue. She ran to her car and drove straight to her uncle, a pharmacist. He tested the remains and shook his head. "My dear, this is a slow-acting sedative. If he keeps taking this tea, within 1 week, he'll be unresponsive, almost like a coma." Justina rushed back to the office. She met Maxwell in Boney's office, already opening the flask again. "Sir, your morning detox." Justina barged in. "Don't drink it." Maxwell's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me? What is the meaning of this madness?" But Boney looked at Justina and saw panic in her eyes, the kind of panic that only comes from truth. Justina, what's going on? Justina didn't stammer. She brought out the test result and dropped on the table. Maxwell tried to grab it, but Boney was faster. One look at the result, and he slowly turned to Maxwell and said, "So this was your plan? To kill me with green tea?" Maxwell didn't deny it. He just laughed. "You think running a company with pity and emotions will last forever? You're weak, Boney. Too weak for this world." Boney made call immediately, and security men rushed in and took him away. Chief Boney thought within himself, "I can't fight these people from the front anymore. There's too much dirt in this office. If I start cleaning with broom, they'll switch off the light. I need a torchlight that no one knows." He began showing signs of withdrawal. He stopped attending meetings. He told people he was resting and focusing on health. He reduced his time at the office to 2 hours daily, and rumors began flying. Olga is weak. Olga is old. Maybe Olga is about to sell the company. Some wicked inner caucus started celebrating silently. They didn't know Boney was about to press reset. Through a secret agent they could never suspect. Now listen well. Chief Boney had one son, David, who had just completed his master's in strategic business and analytics from the University of Leeds in the UK. But he didn't post pictures. He didn't announce it. David didn't even return with accent. He came home with brain and humility. Boney sat him down one night and said, "My son, I built this company from Gary and struggle, but now they want to bury me alive. I need you to go in quietly. No one must know you're my son. Just become one of them and bring me their secrets." David nodded slowly and replied, "Daddy, leave the rats to me. I will set the trap." The next Monday, David entered Deal Group wearing a simple shirt, faded jeans, and N4K batter from Yaba marked as a Gateman. They gave him oversized khaki trousers and cap that looked like it had fought in the Biafran War. Everyone thought he was new. Even the regular guards whispered, "Who be this soft boy?" Hope say Mosquito no-go finish him for night shift. David didn't mind. He stood with a clipboard and pen and began to observe everything. Every morning, he greeted, "Good morning, sir. Welcome, Ma. God bless your day. Olga, make today favor you." And what did he observe? The proud ones, who walked past him daily like they were allergic to oxygen. Not a single reply. One day, he opened the gate for one of them. She hissed and said, "If I wanted delay, I would have hired a snail." David smiled and marked her name with a red star. Another came in with dark shades and said, "Shift a bag. Don't dent my car with your poor energy." Another red star. He also observed the humble ones who always stopped to greet. Blessing, the quiet girl from HR, once noticed his sandals had torn. The next day, she brought him new slippers and said, "I know this job doesn't pay much. Please take this." David nearly cried, but he just smiled and said, "Thank you, Ma. God bless you." He also noticed something very strange. Every Wednesday and Friday, between 1:15 p.m. and 1:40 p.m., for staff members always gathered behind the generator house. Not just a gist, but for what he began to call the backyard coven. At first, he thought it was Lover's Corner. But one day, while pretending to clean near the generator house, he heard strange phrases like, "If Boney refuses to leave, we will spiritually transfer him. We need to renew what we buried under the water tank. Phase 2 starts next week. Everyone must be ready." David almost shouted, "Holy ghost fire," but he held himself and tiptoed away. That same day, someone left a white egg in red cloth under the security bench. He picked it up, took pictures, and sent to his father. Those ones were sacked immediately after making them to carry what they buried without knowing who saw them. David worked only for 4 months. And this point, the flash drive was full. The list was ready. On the first Monday of the 5th month, he handed a sealed brown envelope to his father. The envelope contained white heavy checkmark a list of all loyal staff with full evidence. White heavy checkmark a list of all corrupt, fake, and evil workers with timestamps, photos, voice notes, and footage. And White heavy checkmark evidence of bribes, missing funds, workplace bullying, and spiritual threats. The next day, Chief Boney called for a surprise town hall meeting. Everybody gathered. The atmosphere was tense. Chief Boney walked in, holding the flash drive like the Ark of Covenant. He cleared his throat. For 4 months, I've been silent. You thought I was weak. You thought I was blind, and some of you thought this company belonged to you. But today, all masks will fall. He turned to the side. Bring him in. David entered, looking so good. He wore suit, good shoes, and confidence. Staff mouths open like broken umbrellas. Someone whispered, wait, is that not the Gateman? Jesus. The Gateman was Olga's son. Some people's legs shook. Some others almost choked on their own fake smiles. And the corrupt one started speaking in tongues. But it was too late. Then Chief Boney cleared his throat and said, Ladies and gentlemen, meet Mr. David Boniface, my only son, my heir, and the man who has been your gateman for the past 4 months. The hall went silent. In one corner, one staff fainted gently and slid off her chair like a download progress bar. Others began confessing with eyes. I think I once insulted him when he asked me to sign the visitor's logbook. He saw me fake malaria to leave work. I am finished. Meanwhile, David just stood there smiling. Chief Boney spoke with fire. This company was born out of pain, out of sweat, and out of promise. But some of you turned my kindness into a joke. You spat on loyalty. You mocked humility. And you even called my son a fool because he opened the gate for you. He opened the folder. Inside, names, screenshots, audio files, payroll fraud records, and a list titled, The Ones Who Must Go. Within 15 minutes, chaos started. Grace, the queen of forged invoices, stood up and said, I want to thank God for the opportunity to work here. I just feel led to pursue other destinies. David smiled. Boney clapped slowly. Everyone else clapped out of fear. 2 of the backyard coven witches stood up and said, Sir, we were actually planning to resign next week already, so this is perfect timing. Boney replied, No problem. But the Coconut Head gang, their heads were hard like granite soaked in cement. By the end of the day, they got their X. Sack letters. The loyal staff were given bonuses. David was made head of operations and intelligence. And finally, the company began to breathe again. Chief Boney walked through the office corridors again with pride in his heart. His shoulders relaxed and his smiles became deeper. One day, David went to the canteen and saw Blessing, the quiet HR girl who once gave him slippers when he was Gate Boy Dave. She was serving umla to a staff who had broken an arm. David paused. He walked up to her and said, You gave me slippers when I was a nobody. Would you allow me walk this life with you now that I'm somebody? Blessing looked up, eyes wide. Sir, me? He smiled. Not sir, David. And yes, you. It started with lunch, then dinner, then long walks by the beach, and then wedding bell rang. The wedding was not just a wedding. Months later, the Aladeal Group became one of the top 5 companies to work for in Africa. Their profits multiplied. Chief Boney learned that employing people purely out of compassion can feel like loading a gun and handing it over to the same person who will shoot you tomorrow. Because many people, not all but many, don't care about your kindness. They bite the hand that fed them, mock the boss behind closed doors, milk the system, and blame the same person who gave them a chance. And when you're down, most of them won't even bring water to rinse your face. They'll step over you, fix their wig, and say, Next opportunity, please. So he learned how to balance goodness with wisdom, because compassion without boundaries is how kings become beggars and helpers become victims, and he retired fully, smiling every day, knowing that his legacy was safe.